Hello and welcome back to another video. We've got a bit of a different one today. We've got a bit of a Bristol City keep or sell type thing ahead of next season. I did a poll on Twitter, so if you don't follow that, go and follow it. Linked in the description, along with my Instagram, TikTok, etc. But we tend to do a lot of polls over on Twitter. General thoughts on stuff, football, City, video ideas, videos like this where you can sort of have a bit of your say on the video. So I've gone through, I've collated all the poll results. So we've got the who we want to keep and who we want to sell, and we're just going to go through it sort of position by position. So goalkeeper, defenders, midfielder, attackers. We've got, I don't know, probably about 15, 16 players maybe. For ease, I excluded like Close, Cundy, Wiles Richards, and Naismith and Sykes, who are like either out of contract or just renewed or just signed, etc., etc. Like Cundy and Wiles Richards are still under negotiations. Close is only just renewed. Naismith and Sykes was only just signed. By the time this goes out, we could have announced Kane Wilson as well. This is recorded on Friday morning. It's going out on Saturday night at like 6ish maybe. So hopefully we've signed him. Hopefully Kane Wilson has been on the roof in a lovely little purple and lime collared away kit, and that would be beautiful. If you haven't already looked at my my thoughts on the home kit, then do go and check that out as well. You can see it on the channel. But we'll just get straight into it. So first up is obviously Dan Bentley, the starting goalkeeper, City's #1. Coming into the last year of his contract next season. He's been there since the summer 2019. Everyone voted keep. It was pretty decisive from memory. Which I agree with. He's a very good Championship goalkeeper. He's a bit let down, I think, last season by the defence in front of him. Yeah, he has the odd howler, but he's also saved us so many points. I think for the like 1 or 2 howlers, 3 howlers maybe he'll have a season, he has 4 or 5 outstanding performances where he wins us games or gets us that vital point or whatever. I think a couple of years ago, I think it was, the 2020-2021 season, we would have gone down without him, I think, because I remember a few performances where he was just unstoppable, like Forest away really early on in the season where we won. I think it was 1-0, maybe 2-1. He was just on fire. It was 2-1, wasn't it? Yeah, because Luke Freeman scored for them. I remember now. It was really early on. It was when we won those opening 4 games and it all just collapsed miserably. But obviously, as backup to Dan Bentley, we've got Max O'Leary, who everyone also voted to keep. It was pretty decisive again, which again I agree with. He's good backup. I do feel a bit bad for him because when he's come in this season, he hasn't had the best showing. But he is a good keeper. We saw it a couple of years ago when, who was it? It might have been Mimepar, maybe got injured at the time. Back in 2018-19 when we were pushing for the playoffs, and he came in and he had 2 outstanding performances against West Brom at home and Aston Villa away. That Aston Villa away performance, possibly the best goalkeeping performance I've ever seen. And yeah, he's a very good backup goalkeeper. He's a very good goalkeeper. It's just that he has got a slightly better one in front of him. I think if we were to sell Bents or Bentley gets injured or something like that, we've got a very good keeper there that we can just chuck in. He knows how to deal with it. And he knows how to deal with the Championship. He's played enough games now. He's played a good, 30 games maybe? 20, 30 games. He tends to get about sort of 10 a season. I've maybe worked like roughly. He didn't have a great run when he sort of came in January to February this year. I remember he had a couple of stinkers against Blackpool, I think it was. He basically dropped one in from the corner. But, everyone makes mistakes. Like we said, Bentley's made a few howlers in his time as well. Then we move on to the defence. We've got Thomas Callas up first. Everyone said sell, basically. Again, it was more or less quite unanimous. It was like maybe 75-25% to sell, which again, I agree with. He's past his prime. He's been injured on and off throughout the season, I think. And he's the highest paid player at the club. And he's not the best player at the club to be the highest paid player at the club now, if that makes sense. When he first came in, he was. When we had him on loan in 2018-19, he was one of the best centre-halves in the league. Him and Webster was just an incredible partnership. But since then, it's not quite gone the way we all hoped it would, I don't think. He got injured a bit in 2019-20, and then he wasn't great. He was all right during lockdown, but it's very, very up and down. And I think if we sell him now, I think he's out of contract next summer. So it just makes sense to... I think he's out of contract. Let me check. But it just makes sense to sell him anyway. Thomas Callas contract. He is contracted until 2024, not 2023. So he's got 2 more years with us, but I think it just makes sense to sell him now, or at the very latest sell him next summer. I maybe understand if we want to keep him for this summer as a backup. For me, he doesn't even get in ahead of Cundy at the moment. I think Cundy's been incredible. If we manage to get him renewing his contract, which I think we will, because he's not been, from what I've heard, there's no like interest from anywhere else and stuff like that. That he would rather play for than us, in theory, if that makes sense. Like, there's not a better Championship team or a lower Premier League team or anything like that interested in him. So I think he'll probably will renew. I'd like to see him renew, because when he played towards the end of sort of March, sort of late February to the end of the season, he was very, very good. And I think him, Close, Naismith, Atkinson as a four, like as our four centre backs would be very, very good. Maybe you do want to keep a Callas, a Taylor Moore, who I'll get onto in a minute, as a backup. But I'd say we sell Callas. Everyone else seems to agree with that. And I'd say the same for Nathan Baker, who's up next. He's been injured since November. It looked like it was maybe going to be the end of his career. It was a terrible, terrible injury at Sheffield United away. I was there. I remember he went up for a header and he just instantly just like collapsed. Like, he was knocked out. The medics were straight on. He got taken off in an ambulance after like a good 10 minutes, maybe on the floor, 5-10 minutes. It was just a horrible thing to see. Like, I genuinely didn't know at that moment in time if he was going to be okay, because the way he fell after he clashed heads, I think it was. He must have clashed heads. I don't think it would have just been like an elbow or anything like that. He must have like clashed heads properly with that Sheffield United defender. But it just didn't look good. And obviously he's had a lot of injuries in his time as well since he's been here. He got released this time last year, and then we signed him back, which was a bit weird. But he's a good player, so it's a shame. But he just does constantly get injured, which is what happens when you're that kind of player, because he puts his body on the line every single game. Like, some of the tackles that guy puts in, some of the blocks, it's ridiculous. I remember he got injured at West Brom as well, like a month before the last time he played, the one against Sheffield United. And Bentley came flying out to come and get something, and Baker put himself in there as well. And he just took a knee to the back or a knee to the head or something like that from Bentley, which obviously is completely accidental, but it's what's going to happen if you're in that position, unfortunately. Moving on to Taylor Moore, though, I think everyone said sell. I think we keep him. I appreciate that might not be a popular decision, but I've always quite liked Taylor Moore. I think he did all right at Hearts, from what I gather. Last season I didn't watch much of it. I didn't watch much of him out there, to be honest. I watched a bit of the Scottish Championship here and there, but not enough. Like, I didn't watch any Hearts, basically. I watched Rangers play them once or twice, but he's okay. I think he's a solid backup option. We're not going to get much money for him, I don't think, if we do sell him. So I'd rather sell Baker and Callas and then keep Moore, because he's that bit younger as well and on less wages. I'd rather keep Moore, Close, Naismith, Cundy and Atkinson as our 5 centre backs. That gives us a nice option to play 3 with 2 backups, or 2 with 3 backups. And it's just a nice set to have. Moore, he can cover at right back as well if need be. If we're playing a 4 at the back, I wouldn't want him as a right back in a 5, because he's not going to be good enough going forwards. But as a right back in a 4, I think he's played there a couple of times for us before. And he's a solid option. I think he might have even played there, I want to say, when he went out on loan. I can't remember who it was. Was it to Tranmere or somewhere like that? A good few years ago, but I feel like he was a right back with us in his early days. I'm sure he was. But it moves us on nicely to the fullbacks, and we've got Jada Silva. Basically, everyone said keep. I agree. On his day, he's absolutely incredible. He's obviously rotated with Pring, who we'll get onto in a second, throughout the season. But I think Jada Silva's just brilliant, isn't he? Like, he's a former England under-21 or whatever it was. I think it was under-21s, maybe even under-23s. But he's very, very good. Obviously, he had that injury a couple of years ago, which kind of knocked him a bit. But on his day, he's just unplayable. And like I said, our other left-back option, Cam Pring, everyone else said keep. I agree again. He's a good backup option. He's probably equally as good as Jada Silva a lot of the time. He's had a very good sort of breakthrough season, I guess, because he wasn't playing much last year. He might have even been out on loan, in fact. And yeah, he's come in, he's done a solid job. He looks good, he looks strong, and he's just had a good season. Excuse me, I got a bit of a cough. And then we move on to the other side of the fullbacks. We don't have many options here, do we? We've got Viner and Tanner. Zach Viner up first. It was like 90% sell. I think we've all got to agree he's just not been good enough, is he? In fact, the notes I've put is just sell, agree, bad. Because he just is. Like, he's not good enough at this level, unfortunately. Which is a shame, because I like him. He seems like a nice bloke and stuff, but nice guy doesn't mean you're good at football, does it? Like, or, well, no, he's obviously good at football. I couldn't do his job. But, like, he's not good enough for what we need as our starting right back, especially if we're going to sign Kane Wilson. I think Binder's out the door. George Tanner, everyone said keep, but again, I agree. He's looked good when he's played. Hopefully this injury he had sort of from, when would it have been, like mid-October, early November sort of time, through towards the end of the season. I think he came on against Huddersfield. And I just think he looks really good. He loves a tackle. I remember that one he did against Fulham. I think it was on Kamara, maybe, is that his name? And he just came across and he like went to stop and he just didn't and just carried on going and just ploughed into him. Brilliant tackle. And then we move on to the midfield with Tyreek Backinson, who basically everyone said sell because A, not very good. I didn't look good at all last season. Don't think I saw him win a header, which as a 6'3" midfielder, 6'2", 6'3", maybe even taller. Why is he not going for headers? I don't get it. It was like the ball would go up and he'd do like this weird thing where he tries to like shield it and then use his big gangly legs. It's like, mate, just use your head. You're literally like a good bit taller. He was doing that against like Joe Allen against Stoke at home. It's like, why are you doing that? It was before Joe Allen got sent off. But I don't get it. He's clearly had some sort of falling out with Pearson, which I guess is around that sort of thing, like not putting the required effort in. Pearson said from January when he sent him out on loan at Ipswich that it's unlikely he'll be here next season. So that's all right, I guess. He looked good during lockdown. He had those few games sort of early start of the season that was all behind closed doors, and he looked all right, but he's not going to cut it, is he? Realistically, and then we move on to Matty James, who everyone said keep. Can't really disagree with it. He's not really put a foot wrong for most of the season. He's a solid Championship midfielder. He's not been injured much. He's just goes around, does his job, does it well, does all the basics. And that's what you need sometimes. You need that nice sort of experienced head. He's 31 maybe now? I don't know, let's have a look. He's early 30s, I think. Matty James is 30. So, okay. He's 31 in a month and a bit. The day after I turn 18, actually. So, that's fun. But, yeah, he's a solid Championship midfielder. He just does everything well. Does it, goes fairly under the radar. Just sits there, pings the ball around, does what he needs to do, gets the job done. Simple as that. Joe Williams, everyone said keep. Got to agree. If he can stay fit again next season, he's had a lot less injuries this year than he had before, which is good. Maybe that's something to do with the change in physio team that I think we had over the summer. But if we can keep that hamstring fit that he seems to have problems with, then he's gonna be an absolute monster for us next season. And when he's played, he's just looked amazing, hasn't he? It's just a shame that he's only managed to ever play 2 back-to-back, because if he plays 3, it's likely he's going to get injured. So hopefully he's working on that over the summer with the backroom staff. Then we move on to Hando Masengo, which is just quite a sad one, isn't it? It was possibly the tightest one on there, actually. It was sort of 55% keep, 45% sell. I disagree. I think we got to sell him because he's not going to sign a new contract. As good as he is, as much as I love him, I've got countless videos of that Masengo song on my phone and stuff like that. But we need to cash in before his contract expires. His contract expires this time next year. No chance he's going to sign a new one. So let him go. I think it was Leicester, Nice, and maybe Freiburg, or there was definitely a German club. It was Freiburg in January. I presume it's still them that are interested in him. So I think we just got to let him go. We can get a decent little fee, a nice sell-on clause, because he's going to be a quality player, don't get me wrong. It's just he's not going to be able to do that here, is he, realistically? He maybe stays for this season, but I very much doubt it. I think we'll be looking to cash in on him because as a player that cost us, I think it was around 8 million maybe, 5 to 8 million, something like that. Let's have a look, actually. Let's have a look. But, as a player who cost us many million, don't really want to be letting that leave on a free. See if we can find it here via transfer market. But I'm sure it was something between 5 and 8 million. It's not loading, but oh well. Look, either way, we got to try and cash in whilst we can before he leaves on a free next summer. No matter how much he cost us some money. We may as well try and recoup some of it, if not all of it, if not more. If we can make some profit on him, that would be delightful. But at the very least, a decent little couple of million with a nice sell-on clause for when he goes for 20, 30 in the future from whoever he goes to. If he goes to Leicester and he gets some half-decent game time here and there, even if it's just off the bench and stuff, and then he goes to, someone else for 20, 30 million in the future, we get a nice kickback from that. If we put a 10% sell-on clause, we get a nice 3 million. It just helps us out a bit, doesn't it? It's the same with Brownhill. I presume we've put a what's it called, sell-on clause on him, and maybe he gets his move this summer after Burnley have been relegated. But it does bring us on nicely, speaking about sort of young players and stuff, to Eamon Benarous and Alex Scott. So Benarous, obviously we want to keep him. He's a brilliant young talent. He looks really, really good. Hopefully this ACL doesn't set him back too much, and he'll do okay next season. I don't know when it is he's back. I want to say probably not going to be for a while, is it? Because he did his ACL in what, March, late March, early April sort of time, I think it was. No, it might have even been later than that, actually. It might have been early May. But either way, he's not going to be playing for a while. So he's obviously not going to go this summer. He might not even be back by January, I'm not sure. But he's a very good player, so if we can just keep him, that'd be nice. And that brings us on to the star man, Alex Scott. We've got to keep him. He seems to want to stay. He did an interview with Bristol Live a few weeks ago saying, yeah, he could go to Tottenham. He could go to, I think Norwich were interested in him. Obviously, he'd get game time there, but he wouldn't at Spurs. He said in the interview, like, if you go to Spurs now, he's got to be sitting in the reserves with the under-23s. And that's not what he wants to be doing. He wants to be playing football. He knows, he seems to know anyway, that staying here at the moment is the best thing for his career because he's going to get that game time. You don't find many, 18, 19-year-olds with 40-plus championship games under their belt, where he's been brilliant in the majority of them. I can't really think of any games last season where he's gone missing as such, which is obviously good because most 18-year-olds, they get chomped up by the championship. It's too strong for him, it's too physical, it's this, it's that, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't seem to have affected him. He's quick with his feet, he plays nice balls. He hasn't got that many goal contributions this season. If he can up that, that'd be lovely. But the amount of build-up play he puts in, he might not get that final pass or the goal, but he's always seems to be the one at the start of the move, creating it and creating the space for others and stuff like that. And speaking of players who used to do that, we've got Casey Palmer. Basically, everyone said sell. He might have gone to Coventry by the time this video's gone out. He hasn't gone yet, but it's looking highly likely from what I've seen that he's going to sign for Coventry. Which, I mean, best of luck to him. He's a good player. I've enjoyed him. Unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out. He seemed to have had an argument with LJ. He seemed to have had an argument with Holland. He seemed to have had an argument with Pearson. He seemed to have had an argument with Steve Cooper when he went on loan to Swansea. So there's got to be some sort of attitude issue or something like that there, because there's no way managers just keep dropping him for no reason, because he's a decent player. On his day, he's very, very good. So it's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. It brings us on to Andy Weimann, who is obviously our top scorer last season, and we've got to keep him. Everyone said keep. You've got to agree with that. He most likely won't reach the heights he did last season in terms of the goals scored, because that was a bit of an anomaly. He's not always been known for being a goal scorer and stuff like that. Maybe he hits 10, 15 next season, that'd be nice, but if we can get Semenyo's numbers up as well, it kind of all evens out a bit. But yeah, we got to keep Andy Weimann. Same with Martin, he's a good championship forward. He gets too much stick, I think. He's been brilliant throughout the season, very consistent. Yeah, all right, he's not got bags and bags of pace. Other than that, can anyone actually criticise him on anything? Because I think he's really, really good. He is getting on. He's just signed a 1-year extension. I think there might have been an option to extend it afterwards as well. But Anton Semenyo's up next, and, well, he's just unreal, isn't he? He is absolutely brilliant. He's just come back, or is still on, I think, actually, international duty with Ghana. And he's just really good. Like I said, if we can get him finishing a bit better, if he can maybe improve that decision-making slightly. There were a few times last year where he could have squared it across to Weimann or Martin, and instead he's just kept his head down and just smashed it, and it's hit the side netting and stuff. Obviously, there's also been times like Fulham, where he's got the ball on the halfway line, little turn and he's away, and no one can catch him, and he smashes it into the bottom corner, and he's brilliant. So he's got it in him, and he's an amazing talent. It just needs to be, he's really, really raw. It just needs to be compacted down into this beautiful little footballer who gets 20 goals and 10 assists every season and goes on to be our all-time top goal scorer. That'll be lovely. But we need to get him a new contract first because he expires next summer. And obviously, we don't want him to go on a free. Well, we don't want him to go at all, but definitely not on a free. And then last, and definitely least, Naki Wells. Just get rid of him. He cost us 2 point something million, I think, including Brownhill. I want Brownhill back, please. The Wells we signed from QPR, the Wells we thought we were getting, is not the Wales we got, is it? He scored, I think it was 5 goals after he joined us in that season. I think he's maybe on 15, 20, if that. And he's been here for 2.5 years now. So it's just not, he's not good enough, is he? He's barely played this season. Wyman, Martin, Semenyo are all better than him. If we could get rid of Wales, get rid of Palmer, get rid of Backinson, get rid of Callas, blah, 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 get rid of Viner, get all the money in. We've probably signed Kane Wilson by the time this is out, or it's highly, highly likely we will. Sign Naismith, sign Sykes, no money spent there. Get rid of all the deadwood, bring in a decent backup striker or a striker to replace Martin maybe, or make Martin the backup. Bring in another midfielder, bring in another centre-half if you want, and I think we're sorted. I think we're going to be sort of mid-table again this season. Everyone's being like, oh, we're going to get the playoffs, we're going to win the league, blah, blah, blah. Realistically, we're probably going to finish like 10th, which compared to, 19th and 17th over the last 2 years, I'll take 10th any day. Give me 10th, I'll be very happy. If we could go back to the Bristol City that look like they're getting playoffs and then bottle it, I'll take that over what we've seen the last season where we didn't win away for like 6 months. So we take that. That's got to be the end of the video. Enjoy the new end screen that's about to play that I made yesterday. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe, all of that, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.